Hey guys, this is Kimo. I'm a little tired, I'm not gonna lie. Um, this whole, you know, playthrough of Resident Evil 2 just didn't work out in the end. I tried with Dolphin to run the GameCube version. Didn't work out very great. It ran, but it ran very poorly. I guess my system just isn't really cut out for this kind of thing. Um, so what we're watching here is a run, well, I guess the failed run of the PlayStation 1 version. Um, Unfortunately, I had to play this game one-handed because the emulator that I'm using does not support controllers, which is weird. I did try EPSXE, but it just crashed every time. So I had to use something else that I wasn't familiar with, and here we are. I really wanted this to work out, but I guess I guess I'm not cut out for the emulation department. So instead of ending on a sour note, um, I'm gonna. I said earlier today that I would be answering some questions and whatnot. So, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in this video. Just answering some of the questions that I got. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, what I was doing earlier today. I watched Aliens for the first time, and that movie completely blew me away. Um, it's definitely not as good as the first one. It's just kind of just slightly below it. But what makes Aliens very, very significant is how much of an impact it has had on video games in general. And you can see that. Like, when I was watching the movie, I felt like I had seen everything in that movie in other video games. It's crazy just how much so many popular franchises have borrowed from that movie, including Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 especially uh, copies the formula of that movie to a frightening degree, like almost to a T. Especially for like the last bit. I don't want to go into detail, so I don't spoil it for anyone who hasn't played Resident Evil 2 yet. But yeah, that was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. And I guess I'm an Aliens fan now. Uh, as you can see, I didn't mean to walk into that guy, but whatever. Anyways, so on to some of the questions that I received. So first of all is Galaxia Ultima, an old friend of mine. He asks, "How do I get Leon's haircut without showing the barber a pic of Leon?" Well, I may be a med student, but I am not a hairstylist. Yeah, I just forgot how to play the game for a second there. Yeah, I just do not know what the hairstyle is called. So, I guess the most you can do is just look up the actor they scanned Leon's model from. Leon, the remake model from, of course. Unless you want like pixelated hair. But that also like, depends on your what kind of hair you have. Like, can it even be modified to be silky smooth in the first place? I don't know. This is really not my field at all. The next one is from Freeze underscore Cracker, also known as Paul, a good friend of mine. Well, we've been friends for a while. He asks, how did you get into Resident Evil? Before I talk about Resident Evil, I have to talk about the thing that got me into Resident Evil, and that is Dead Space. So, when I was growing up, I was like, I was a wimp. I was scared of so many things, and it was just ridiculous. I was afraid of blood. I was afraid of really horrifying monsters in general, and I kind of, and over time, when I was 14, I started to slowly, I started to slowly creep into, horror, creep into like a lot of blood and gore, mature games in general. I think one of the things that I told myself at the time was, okay, look, you really need to uh, you really need to play like a really scary horror game. Look up whatever's the scariest horror game you can find, and play that. And at the time, the newest game was Dead Space 2. I loved it. I loved that game so much. And it was that game that helped me get over my fear over, I guess, just blood and gore in general. Of course, I went back to play the original Dead Space, and I played Dead Space 3. I love those games so much. And then I kind of did some research, and I found that there were two major inspirations for Dead Space. I believe it was Resident Evil 4 and the Alien movie. Not sure Alien 1 or Alien 2. Not sure. Probably Aliens. Yeah. So what I ended up doing is I told myself I need to play these games. I need to play like the Resident Evil games at some point, because this inspired one of my favorite games series, and I need to watch the Alien movie. God, it's 2 a.m. already. I don't know why I didn't get into these games earlier. I guess I got distracted by other things that I just prioritized more at the time. My friend got this bundle that had a bunch of Capcom games in it, and one of them was Resident Evil 4. And since we shared libraries on Steam, I managed to play Resident Evil 4 off of his library using my account. Yeah, I was just struggling to remember the controls because I was using a really unorthodox way of playing the game, one-handed. Did I mention that I tried to play this game one-handed? It did not work out. And I loved Resident Evil 4, and then over time, there was like a big sale on the PlayStation Store, and you could get Resident Evil 2, you could get Resident Evil 2 and 3 for like really cheap. So I got both of them, and as for the first Resident Evil, it wasn't discounted back then, so I had to download a ROM, and I played it on my PSP. I played 1, 2, and 3. And I bought the first game later on PSN when it was on sale. So you can't guilt trip me. And then after that, those two, I believe I got into Resident Evil 7 because I had just upgraded my rig. So I bought Resident Evil 7. I played that a bunch and I loved it. And then I slowly crept my way throughout the rest of the series, like Resident Evil Revelations. Oh no, sorry. I'm sorry. After Revelations was Resident Evil Remake, and after Remake was 7, and then after 7 was 0. Ah, God. So, I'm not quite all that interested in Resident Evil 6, and Resident Evil 5 does look good. It looks interesting. But unfortunately, co-op is not available for the PC version anymore, so I'm just gonna have to watch a Let's Play of it, which is what I'm doing right now. So yeah, that's how I got into Resident Evil. Okay, the next question is from Beef Sound Magnus. Again, another friend of mine. What do you like most about the game? Honestly, that's a kind of bit of a loaded question for me, because there's a lot that I really love about these games. Not just Resident Evil 2, but classic Resident Evil. It's a very unorthodox method of horror, but through its limitations, this game manages to, it manages to make the most out of its limitations. Like, as you can see here, it's basically just, you have 3D models walking in a void with 2D pictures, like, in the foreground and in the background. Just to simulate to make it seem like you're walking in a 3D environment, which isn't really true. Out is, for example, you have to rely on sound a lot. Like, you can't just rush into things. and that's where my run ended. I was trying to grab the 2 herbs that were in that room so I could get a full heal, but didn't work out. But yeah, those games managed to make the most out of their limitation, and also and that's one thing. The other thing is that the map is designed in a way that feels like it's a giant puzzle box. So you're just running around the map, trying to slowly open it up piece by piece, little by little. It's kind of, imagine it's like 9 doors, 9 hours, 9 persons, or the Virtue's Last Reward. But the puzzle room that you're in, the escape room that you're in, is the entire game. And you're trying to do something on this end, and something on that end of the map, and stuff happens in between. It's a really non-linear way of doing things. And it's mostly just trying to figure out how to get to the next area. And I kind of like that design. And also, since you're backtracking a lot, the game tends to, I wouldn't say respawn, but it spawns new enemies. So it's never dull. It's never a dull moment because you're running into familiar corridors, and then suddenly new enemies show up that you have to take care of. Now, this isn't being put into full effect in this game, as opposed to Resident Evil, the remake, and Resident Evil 3. But yeah, those are two. I guess those are two of my favorite aspects of this game on the top of my head. Yeah. Next question: is Resident Evil 2 your favorite game in the series? No, actually. Resident Evil Remake is my favorite one. But if you want to count classic Resident Evil, like the PlayStation 1 games, the first one is my favorite. It's not the best. The best one is the second one, which was Resident Evil 2. But my favorite one is the first one because it just has a lot of charm to it, and the Spencer Mansion is just, I love it. It's just brilliant map design, and of course the PlayStation is like really good too. I just have a bit of a bias towards the Spencer Mansion. Of course, I think Resident Evil 1 has really good bosses too. Have you seen Resident Evil 7, and do you enjoy the way it's taken the series, or would you prefer it to be like older titles? Well, Resident Evil 2 is kind of going back to the older third-person shooter. I do like 7. I do like 7 a lot. The thing it was trying to do, I appreciate it a lot, and I would like to see Capcom, try it again. Try first-person Resident Evil again, because I think 7 worked out really well. The main problem that I had with 7 is that it felt a little simplified, a little dumbed down. If you catch my drift, the mansion wasn't all that big. The puzzles were a little straightforward, a little too straightforward for my taste. I would have preferred something more like the first game. But yeah, Resident Evil 7 is great. It's a great step forward, but I don't think they're going to be continuing that style at the moment. I think they're just focused primarily on Resident Evil 2 remake right now, which is fine. And that's a great segue into the next question. Oh yeah, that previous question was from Kami.com, or Caleb. Please don't make me say Kami again. The next question is from P__Genie, Geni. Are you looking forward to the remake, or do you think it's too much of a departure? No, I'm actually super excited for the remake. If it doesn't really seem like I am, it's mostly because I'm directing, like, most of my excitement towards Devil May Cry 5. But no, I'm super excited for that game, and I cannot wait to sink my teeth into it. And also, I want to say something, and if I'm wrong, I will eat my words, but I think that if Resident Evil 2 continues the same level of quality it showed in the demo at E3, for the entirety of the game, not only do I think this is going to be the best Resident Evil game, this is going to be the best survival horror game, period. It was just those 5 questions, so I guess. I'm just going to end my video here. I'm going to go to bed. Good night.